Hi, everybody. Welcome to Omnis Technologies. My name is Ryan. I'm here with our IT technician, Hunter Ford. How you doing, Hunter?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for being here today. So today we're going to talk about, since we're all working from home, kind of what the drawbacks are and security risks are of using your home device for work. So to roll into that, we're going to have Hunter describe what the difference is between a work PC and your home PC, because on the surface they may seem very similar, but it's under the hood where all this stuff makes a difference. So take it away, Hunter.
Yep. So the major difference you usually see with work devices and personal devices are most businesses operate using Windows 10 Pro or Windows Pro of some sort, whereas a home device is likely to have Windows Home installed or Windows Student. There's a whole bunch of different versions, especially for Windows 10. But the key difference is there's a lot of features specifically in Windows Pro for an office or work type environment, including domain, domain users, stuff like that, where you can add a Windows Pro computer to a domain, whereas a Windows Home machine you cannot add to a domain. It is not set up. The OS is not set up to have that functionality.
And so, what are the risks then of using the Windows Home operating system, even if you're connecting to your work network?
So even though a Windows Home device, it can't be added to the domain, it could still connect to the network based on how DHCP and just the network settings are in general. So you could still, if you connect a home device to let's say a work network with a domain controller, that work device could still compromise data on that network since as long as it has the settings set up in file sharing and like network discovery, it could still see other devices and try to access them if you had something, let's say you had something malicious and it saw you connect to a network and you have network discovery on it, notice all these other computers. There's a chance, depending on that malicious software, it might try to connect to all those computers. And if those computers have weak security, uh, let's say just like an easy password or an easy login in general, uh, putting your home device on that network could compromise those work devices, even though even though you have the home version of Windows.
Sure, and vice versa, I'm assuming.
Oh yeah, it's more or less the devices on the network. They, for most companies, especially for clients that we try to do a very blanket security setup where it's you have antivirus, the same antivirus on all the systems that's constantly updating, constantly checking for new information like every day, running scans every day. It's actively running in case something malicious does try to run and it can stop it. So, really, in my scenario, hopefully that device, if it does somehow get compromised, let's say just a user had a weak password on their computer, um, that antivirus on it should hopefully stop it, but it's still, a security risk coming from the home device.
Sure. So your home device, it may not have as sophisticated antivirus. Um, it might not have the latest updated operating system. And
Correct.
then you don't, you could have other users using your home computer and downloading things that you're not even aware of.
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially for, let's say, like a home laptop for a family. It might be, the parents' device that they use for work and at home, but they might let their kids on it. And if they just have a lot of people don't even put passwords on their home devices.
Hmm.
So they're just instantly onto that computer with administrative access. So that is a lot of access and a lot of vulnerability, which most people don't really mind on a home device, but that is very vulnerable when used as a work device.
We've talked about some solutions like malware bytes that someone could check right now and scan their home computer, and it'll kick out anything that, or at least alert you if there's anything that could harm your work network before you log on.
Yep, Malwarebytes is nice, especially because it gives you a free trial out the gate. So you get a free trial of the pro version to try first for 7 days. So let's say you think you have something, or you're planning to start using your device as a work device, which many of us are now
Yep.
since we're converting to work from home. So what you would want to do is you want to go on the Malwarebytes website. You can download it. It'll offer you the free trial. You can set it up, and then um, that Malwarebytes Pro will be running, so you can do a scan and you can use the advanced features of Pro at the start.
Hmm.
After 7 days, it'll just ask you if you want to, get a subscription. If not, it'll switch you to the basic version, which is still very good. It's just lacking some of the more complex features, I would say. It's still a very good antivirus solution.
Yep. So that's Malwarebytes. We'll leave a link in the description. And then another thing you're going to want to check is the version of Windows or your operating system that you're running. Make sure it's up to
Yep.
date. I know sometimes I'm guilty of hitting that restart later, remind me tomorrow kind of
Hmm.
thing, because it never seems to find a convenient time to update. But those updates are really important. And we'll put a resource in there to make sure we show you how to check that out.
Yep. Just staying up to date in Windows 10 is very important. At least I think so, because with Windows 10 having Windows Defender built in as a form of antivirus, Windows Defender gets its updates through Windows Updates. So if you want to keep your Windows Defender up to date, you kind of need to keep your Windows Update. I think Windows Defender gets small updates and like definition rule updates itself, but like major updates come through Windows Update. And then if you're on Windows 7, Windows Vista, things like that, you could uh, you can run antivirus on those, and that'll help with security. But just due to not getting full Windows updates anymore, you
Right.
probably want to move away from that. You want to get yourself, if your device is very old, you would more than likely want to update to a Windows 10 machine. If you have a Windows 7 device, there's a good chance it can upgrade to 10 pretty easily. Some people might still be using Windows 8. That can also upgrade to 10, but it is still getting updates currently, so it still should be secure in its own right. But Windows 10 updates are, I mean, an update to Windows 10 is available for 8 as well.
Okay, so we've covered that Malwarebytes to kind of do a scan. We've covered the updates to make sure you're getting all those security checks. And
Mhm.
so, is there anything else that you should do before you have an employee or before you yourself log into a network? Or what other considerations are there that we haven't covered yet?
I'd say before you want a personal device accessing any data that you use for work, you should have, like we said, Malwarebytes or something installed to do at least a scan to make sure nothing malicious is set up. I think if you start to use it for work, it's a good idea to, if it's a family device, separate your account that you use from the account other people in your family use. And more than likely, you'll want to give them lesser permissions.
Hmm.
That way, so they can't install files or programs or anything on their profile. That way, it's safe for them to use still, but it won't compromise your data, basically, or potentially compromise your data.
Okay. And are there any particular industries who maybe you wouldn't recommend due to the types of data that they have using your personal computer for work?
Healthcare,
Sure.
that's definitely one. I know healthcare businesses and hospitals and stuff that allow the use of personal devices, but they have it's a pretty strict, basically, checklist to basically,
Compliance, yeah.
yeah, compliance sort of thing. If you work with insurance data, you probably want to, you just, you can use a personal device for any of these, but you want to make sure that you have the security in place to make sure that if that home device is compromised, it does not connect back to your work network. Since a lot of people probably are using VPN currently
Yep.
to access work resources, or they might be using a remote desktop application. What's nice about a lot of these remote desktop applications, like let's say Google Chrome Remote Desktop, if someone compromises your Google account, uh, and they try to remote into a device, you have to set a pin on the original device, so the one you're remoting into, and it's not accessible anywhere. You have to actually, if you forget it, you have to go to that device physically and set a new one, which is I think it's rather secure compared to a lot of, there are some remote programs where once it's set up and if you can log into an account, you just have full access.
All right, so that covers using a home PC for work. I'll make sure you check the links in the description where we'll put some resources for you to check out and make sure you're up to date and ready to run. Hunter, thanks a lot. Make sure you check out our other videos on password policies. We covered VPNs and remote desktops. We'll put those links here too. And we'll be back next week with another video. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.